does. And just having that attitude of thankfulness can just make such a difference.
You have to operate in your own grace. It does not matter if 1,000,001 people are doing what you do. God has given you a special grace to be able to walk it out.
This is yet another altar. I have so many altars that I have to remind myself of God. And now when I am weary and I can't take this life anymore, this is another altar that I will remind myself of that I have built up with God.
See, praising him while you're going through the situation shows a level of belief, shows a level of faith, shows that you know that he's going to make a way out of no way. Listen, whatever you're going through right now, I want you to praise him now and believe like it's already done.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our third, you believe it? 1, 2, 3, our third episode of Sheneè Shares Live. And I am your host, Sheneè Woodson. I'm so excited to have two wonderful women with me today. However, before I get started, I need to share something with you. This wouldn't be Sheneè Shares if I didn't. So I have beside me, guess what? A gallon of water, okay? A whole gallon. It says drinking water, all right? I have been challenged to drink a gallon of water a day, okay? So those of you who have been following me, you know I have idiopathic intracranial hypertension, IIH, and polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. And one of the things I need to do is lose weight and watch what I eat. So I had someone to say, you know, I challenge you to not even exercise yet. You can walk and everything, but first thing I need you to do is drink a lot of water. So I'm thinking I drink a lot of water because I drink a lot of bottled water, you know, the ones that you get, that's like, 16 ounces or something. He said, I bet you can't drink a whole gallon of water a day. I said, okay, challenge accepted. So I'm there. Thank you very much. I'm there. I got till 9 o'clock, which is going to be hard because we're here today. But anyway, without further ado, I do want to thank you all for joining us. And before we get started and bring on our first guest, I need you all to share. Okay, share. Those of you who are on YouTube, put the link up and put it in your text message, share it around. Those of you on Facebook, share with your family and friends, put it in their inbox and let them know that we have some two powerhouse women with us tonight. Okay, and I'm so excited to introduce them. But again, I'm giving you all just a little moment to share. And if you are joining us today, if you would like to please put in comments, because I also like to know who is with us. I like to engage with people to see who's online with us. So if you want to put where you're from during the process of the interviews, please do so. If you want to say something, you want to have your name on the screen, and so everybody can see what you're saying, put it in chat. Okay, so we can share what you have to say as well. Engaging. I love to engage, and I love the audience to engage with us as well. So I don't want to waste any more time. Beautiful, productive, prosperous evening. Okay, I said that for a reason. You'll find out later on. But I want to bring on first. Right on time. I would like to bring on first. Now, she might get mad at me because I call her pastor. Okay, so I call her pastor because she just got ordained as a minister, and I'm so happy. I was kind of upset because I found out later on, I'm scrolling through social media. I'm like, wait a minute, time out. I didn't get an invite. But beyond that, I am so excited to bring on my sister, LaRissa Oxner. Thank you. Please bring her on. I need her to come to the stage. So we can have a conversation about resiliency. Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? Thank you for having me, girl.
Of course. I'm like, you were one of the first, and you already know my heart because I tell you all the time. But I was like, I have to have her on. I know one time I actually heard you. I was at the radio station one time, Awesome God Radio, and I heard you
Yeah.
speak. I said, "Whoa, okay." What is coming out of her mouth is like hitting home. Everything you were saying, because I used to really support that show. I know you all taking a little break right now, but shout out to Antonio and the rest of the crew.
Shout
But
out to
again,
the crew, the Good Life
yeah.
Gospel Show.
Yes. And I was so excited at that one time I met. I was like, wait a minute. So it was that connection from there. And I'm so excited to have you with me today. Before we get going, I want to ask you just one question. And that
Sure.
is, I'm gonna dive right into it. What does resiliency mean to you?
Well, I'm a woman of words. So when you asked me to be a part of this, I was like, me? Resilient? Let me Google this. Let me see what this means. And it really simply put, my life story is I can't quit. I can't quit.
Mm,
I can't quit on myself. I can't quit on the things that God has given me or assigned to me. It's not dumbing down. It is just going forward, moving forward in your God-given gifts and in your life. So I tend to say now the only thing that someone may see me do is fold laundry, but I'm never folding. So that's what it means to
love
me.
it. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And like I said, I wanted to talk about that before we even dive into anything else, because again, this whole platform is about being resilient. And I really feel that people need to understand that, just because things happen, keep going. If you
Right.
fail, keep going. Because you
Absolutely.
just don't know what's at the end of the tunnel. You don't know what's at the end of the road. I feel like I'm about to say Boys and Men, but you don't know what's at the end of the road. Okay. So we
That's
just
true.
have to keep going. One thing I do want to, another thing I want to ask you is, you just got ordained as a minister. Tell us how you feel. Are you getting treated differently, or are people, minister risk? So, what's going on? Like, how has anything changed? I know when I got ordained a minister, it was like I felt like I was more obligation or something there. So, are you feeling that, or what's going on? Your whole
Listen,
emotions.
I am feeling the pressure, okay, but not
Mm,
just the pressure of um, being a minister, but being a licensed minister. Now I get to do all of the things. All I said to God was, I accept the call and I want to give the people the word, right? I want to feed your sheep. And what's great about it is I get to learn as I'm pouring out. So this is totally different for me. It's a totally different platform. When they say people have not chosen this, they feel like they have been called to do it. And it's not something that I ran after, believe me. But I do
mm,
accept the call because I think it is very important to know that you have a God that loves you. I think it's very
mm,
important to seek that God and to have it done in such a way that is authentic, not full of fluff. I'm one of those persons. I'm gonna say it real clear and I'm gonna say it real plain. And so that journey for me, I took a class. I was in class for over a year. And actually I took it twice. I didn't finish it the first time. I did not feel worthy. I did not feel that I'm like, me, what do you want me to do? And so just sharing the goodness of God in my life and how God has been amazing to me and my faith. I stand 10 toes down on
mm,
Jesus, you know, and just learning. I'm not a theologist or anything like that, but just learning different things, learning God on a different level, being his daughter, you know, it's been an amazing journey. Yes, people call me Pastor Rissa. one of my girls,
Me.
one of my girlfriends, we went to dinner. Shout out to, can I give a shout out real quick? I just had a
Oh,
birthday and
sure.
I just had a birthday and I have to shout out all of my friends, my honey bunny and everybody that just really, really poured into me. We were at dinner and yeah, so I had to do this. I had to do this interview in the month of my birthday. You know, I had to. It was a birthday gift to
Oh,
myself. And so thank you for giving me this gift to, you know, it's been a minute since you and I chatted, but we were sitting down at dinner And she was like, "Can you tell
Mm.
me how to stop cussing?" I said, "Girl, no." No, I cannot. I said, "But what I have learned is I'm not so quick." I said, "So
Mm.
sometimes you just have to take your time. You have to center yourself before God and allow Him to lead you." And that has been the journey for me, through the highs and the lows, through sinning and righteousness, just allowing God to lead. And then
Mm.
understanding that He already knows who you are, He already knows what you're capable of. And, just being able to articulate that in a spiritual form, where the people
Mm.
can grasp, has been a blessing to me. And I'm just honored. I'm humbled and I'm honored.
I love that. I love that. Everything you said again. And when people ask you questions like that, you're always like, wait, how do I answer that? And so the answer you gave was perfect. Because again, things don't happen overnight. It just
Right.
doesn't. So thank you for that. And happy birthday again. Shout out.
Thank
Happy
you.
hey. I see cousin on here as well. I before I shift gears a little bit, I do want you to just share a little bit more because you're more than just a pastor, and I want us to play just a quick promo because you're something else too besides and I said pastor again. I
Yeah,
said it
just
again.
roll with it, okay?
Besides
Just
being
roll
a
with it.
minister, you can go ahead and roll that. I want to just give a preview. What else she got going on?
That
We
is so
are also
sweet.
we are also looking at a published author. Let me tell you, as a fellow published author myself, I always love highlighting because I know what it takes to put a book out. I know what it takes to get everything situated, editing, all the whole process. And
Mhm.
how, you the book came out a little while ago because I remember. However, how has that transition been just being a published author? I know I asked about the minister, but as a published author, what has it opened any doors for you or speaking engagements, anything like that with the book? And I know you also co-wrote it, and she can shout herself out again in the comments, but I'll let you take that.
Absolutely. I am the co-author of a 30-day devotional entitled Better Than Ever. It is the gift that keeps on giving. I wrote it with my good girlfriend. I call her my soul sister, Sheneè Shares. In 2019, I was actually going through a crazy transition in my lifestyle. And I just needed some pick me up. Okay. I just needed something to pick me up. And it was actually supposed to be a spinoff of the Good Life Gospel Show. So on the Good Life Gospel
Wow.
Show, where I co-host with amazing people, I did the good news. The world is so full
Mm.
of bad news and, just people just feeling down and, somebody did this to somebody or just drama. And I just
Mhm.
wanted to share good things that were going on in the community, good things that were going on spiritually, good things that were going on in church. And so I asked my good girlfriend, would she do the show with me? And it actually turned into a book. So that's how the book came about.
Wow.
Radio opened a lot of doors and a lot of platforms because I am really, really an introvert, extrovert, should I say? And
Okay.
so, me behind the scenes in the radio, you wouldn't tell it, right? But I really, really don't speak unless I have something good to say. There's something God had
Mhm.
maybe said to me, or those aha moments, Sheneè. And so, um, that the radio door opened those platforms up to me. The book definitely opened up more platforms for me to just tell my testimony and also
Mm.
just be comfortable in my skin and comfortable with how I do it. So many times, and I know that you can relate, we compare ourselves. We don't really mean to all the time, but we compare
Mhm.
ourselves to people that have done things before or doing things like us. I don't say words like this. I don't look like that.
Mm.
I don't, I'm not that person. But you can be used and your story
Mhm.
is unique to your own. And so I'm just grateful that writing the book allowed me to be authentic to myself, also while being relatable to other women because I am a mother. I am,
Right.
God's daughter. I am a my natural mother, I'm her daughter, I'm a
Mm,
friend, I'm all the things, right? I'm all the things. And we can get so bogged down with what other people call us, but we need to
mm,
start calling out our own selves. Outside of all of that, I am LaRissa and I matter and I'm valuable. And so going through that time, I was they told me that I was being diagnosed with depression, but I did not
mm,
receive that. And so
mhm,
thankfully, I was able to get myself out of that and write this book called Better Than Ever, right? And so it's just stories of aha moments, digging myself out of the dirt, Sherry digging herself out of the dirt, and just winning
mm,
over every situation. Every situation. So it's a joyful book. It's not a sad story in there. It's encouraging. You have self checks in there because you have to do your self work. You have to look in the mirror and you have to sit with yourself, flaws and all, and try to get
mm,
yourself together. And so I didn't have that. You know how we do things in secret, like nobody
mhm,
understands. Nobody's gonna like me. People are gonna talk about me. I can't
mhm.
share these things. And so as I was writing, I was actually coaching myself. And then that leads me to becoming a mental health coach and advocate. And so I didn't have a mentor. So I had to do things to coach myself. And so I went through that
Wow.
program, learned some things, and came out of that program an advocate and a coach myself. And I'm just grateful. I don't toot my own horn. I just
Mm,
say all of these things to say that you too can find the victory in your own story.
mhm. I love that. I love everything you said. And everyone, you see why she's another person that we have here on the show, because she's definitely talking about being resilient, definitely, which everything she just says definitely talking about being resilient. And I do want to one more part of you, okay? And I know you probably be mad at me, but I visited your church one day with my brother Devin, and I saw someone holding a microphone, and
Oh
she was
goodness.
leading worship. She was leading worship. And I said, what else does she do? Miss Rissa. He said, I forgot to tell you she sing here. I said, oh my goodness. So yes, I was like, okay, she's leading worship. So as the praise and worship leader,
Yes.
past I was too. And one thing I used to sit there, I felt myself always like trying to push people, praise them. Yeah, yeah. You know, if you have nothing else to praise them for, I will praise them by myself. I don't care. But even in that role, just being, in a form where you have to, just leading people into worship. Does that
Hmm.
sometimes become challenging in itself when you're looking out and you might see somebody down or challenging?
Yes, ma'am.
What's going through
Okay.
their
Yes,
head?
the saints be sainting. Okay, let me say it
Mhm.
again. The saints be sainting. Okay, they look at you crazy. They look at you crazy. You get all the feels. I have sat in
Mhm.
concerts where like real legit singers will be singing their hearts out. People will be
Mhm.
performing, and people be looking like.
Yes. Yep.
So it is very challenging to go through that, but this is what gets me through it. I know God for myself. So whether you
Mm.
are celebrating with me, for me, or whether I need to celebrate for you, I hope that
Wow.
at the end of the worship experience, you hear God's voice for you. And I
Mm.
look at him too. I'd be like, yep, he loves you. He's talking to you. So I do not toot my own horn for singing because Lord knows I'd be like, get me off this praise team, please. There's so many other people
Oh
that can
my
do it better.
goodness.
So many other people that can do it better. But I love God and
Mhm.
I can talk about him all day because I have my
Mhm.
own testimony. And so just piggybacking off of that and my amazing bishop, the Stephen Lawrence, and my amazing first
Mhm.
lady, the elder lady Robin, I'm taught well. I'm taught well at church. I love my church
Mhm.
family. I love what they provide. And it was a learning thing as well. People think that you can just get up all the time. Some people are gifted in that area, but I also
Mhm.
think that development, personal development, growing in God, all of those things matter. So that way, you're not confined to the four walls. You can take that lifestyle, because it is a lifestyle, outside of church. And so it is very challenging to cut through some things. But at the end of the day, some plant, some water, God gives the increase. And I just have to get over it. Because, child, sometimes the voice don't be voicing either. Okay.
Wow.
Cracks and all kinds of stuff. But we get through it, and we just have to do what God has called us to do. And that is to give him praise, give him honor, give him glory, and to push our brothers and sisters to that fact as well.
I love that. And you said something that actually stepped on my toes a little bit when you said, even if you are unable to praise, I'll praise him for you. Because, we have this perspective when we see people staring at us like, oh, they're bored, or, they're not into it. When we really don't know what they're going through. It may not even be what we're thinking. So thank you for that, because you stepped on my toes with that one, because I'm up here singing, they just looking at me, but you made me think like maybe they're looking because something going on at home, and they just, it's not there, or hey, they may be just extremely tired, worked all night, and came straight to it, and they're just tired. So again, I thank you for bringing up.
And to be honest, somebody had to teach me, somebody had to tell me that too, because I felt the same way. Like, we up there in them lights, we sweating, we done practice, we think we doing a grand thing, and they just like, no, sis.
Yep.
And you jumping up and down, and you're like, well, come on and bless the Lord, and praise and worship leaders and praise and worship teams, choirs, we're all hype men. And yes, you do have to look past that and then understand. You said it yourself in one of your other broadcasts for this show. You said that, how did you put it? What's wrong with you helping somebody get to the other side? Remember that? I took notes.
I remember. It's one of my classes I teach. Thank you. Sometimes I speak that was for me.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just do that. Let's take on that perspective, not let's internalize it, but let's, because nothing's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with my worship. My worship is for real. My worship is pure. Maybe something may be going on with them. So let's get through that. And if not, hopefully they get through it. But if not, I'm going to fulfill my assignment anyway. So.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Love it. So you all know this is Sheneè Shares. And part of Sheneè Shares is sharing my platform. Okay. So I'm going to mosey on backstage, the virtual backstage, and give Pastor, okay, I know she wants minister, but my world, she's Pastor. She's Pastor LaRissa, okay? I'm going to give her a few moments just to share her heart, and then I'll be back and we'll have some last minute words with her, and then I'm going to introduce our also a podcaster. My goodness. I'm excited to have her too. So I'm going to see y'all a little bit. I'm going to let my sister have the stage, and please share. I'm telling you, I don't care if she got a 30 seconds. She's going to share something powerful. I've seen it. Thank you very much. See y'all in the field. I'll see you in the field.
Hey, champions. That's what I like to call you guys, because you are a champion in your own right. I am a note taker, so I did take some notes. So forgive me for looking down and reading them, but I really want you to get what I'm saying, and I want to be clear in my delivery with that. So I wrote down, so much of our happiness depends on how we choose to look at the world. The definition of resilience is one who learns from adverse situations they experience and is able to see the positive side of things. It is also the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties, toughness, the ability of substance or an object to bring the shape back and stand. So every day I continue to ask myself, what can I do to keep progressing forward? That is what I challenge you guys to do on today and for the remainders of your years. What can you do to move forward? Not just move, because people can move backwards. You can move side to side, which means you're moving out of the way. But I want you to think about moving forward. Is there something that you need to get over? Is there something that you're trying to get through? What is that thing that needs to be moved forward? Maybe it's you that needs to be moved forward. Your past is over. The Bible puts it like this: may your days that were before not be greater than your latter days. That means if you're alive, you still have God's gift, God's permission, and God's promise to see your victories to the end. That means you can't quit on you. When it gets hard, you can't quit on you. And if you have to start over, then do that. Then do that. Every day, new mercies I see. There's grace upon grace upon grace. There's favor upon favor upon favor. There is no thing that you cannot overcome or triumph through if you choose to move forward. Forward. So I am challenging you and I am compelling you, just as Shenee is doing a great thing in her health by drinking these gallons of water every day. Because, baby, listen, I can't do it. Okay. However, whatever your thing is to progress you forward in your life, in your years, in your legacy, I need you to do that. Okay, get up every morning, look yourself in the mirror and say, I can make it. Get up every morning, 10 toes down, look yourself in the mirror and say, I got it going on. I'm going to move forward. And I like to put it like this: I'm going to see my victory to the end. If I'm not dead yet, my life is not over. I may be knocked down, I may be knocked to the side, but it's not over. So I need you to pick yourself up. I had to go to counseling. I had to go to therapy. I had to read books. I did that in prayer. I consulted with God and people that were like-minded, not the foolishness, not somebody that's going to, say, LaRissa, I feel what you feeling, girl. And so we just might as well quit. No, ma'am. No, sir. Those are not your people. Those are not your people. If they're going to co-sign negativity, that's not what you want. So let me be your cheerleader on today. When you go back and replay this in your mind, I want you to say that I can move, but I'm not just moving. I'm moving forward. And I like to end it with this: go on and be great, because you do not need permission to be something you already are. I love y'all.
Woo-hoo-hoo. I don't need permission to be something I already. That
No, you
hit
don't.
me right on my head. Oh my God, it hurts.
So
Oh my
be
God.
great. Like, do
Yes.
you.
I love
Do
it.
you
Talk
and
about
do it well.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, our time has come to not an end. Okay, just a pause, because I want to leak something, not just yet. I'm trying to wait and wait till it get time. Let y'all know what's going on with myself and my sister. Okay, I'll let y'all know a little, maybe another week. I'm gonna let it simmer a little bit. But
Let
anyway,
it simmer.
you all, please in chat, just say thank you for joining us before we bring on our next guest. But what I want to do is for you to just tell people, how can they get in touch with you, book you, or have you come speak, whatever it is. How can they come and just be encouraged by Pastor LaRissa Oxner? Sorry, LaRissa Oxner.
I am Riss Renee on Facebook. I'm Coach Riss _ Renee, RENE on Instagram. Send me an inbox. I will check it. I check all of my things. I do reply. And so that's how you guys can reach me. My email address is larissarenee.mh@gmail.com. And that is my coaching platform. And so if you send me a message, I will respond and we will be connected.
Thank you so much, you all, for joining us. Stay on. We have our next guest coming up, but sis, I will see you again. I'm kind of now. I'm trying to hold it in because you're here, but I will definitely see you again. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me. It was a great time. Bye, guys.
Please come back. Have a good one. All right, everyone. Well, I want to take a moment before we bring on our next guest, and I want you all just to pay attention to your screen real quick. It's gonna be real quick. Just pay attention. That, ladies and gentlemen, is just a smidget, little something of our next guest. I actually met her. I was in this will actually be our first time actually having a conversation, but virtually. I met her in a group. I think it was called Need a Guest or something like that, and I put it out there. And do you know she was the first person to respond saying, "Hey, let's collaborate." I'm like, wait a minute, we're collaborating. But anyway, I looked and I checked it, and I'm so glad I did because, again, even though it's our first time, I know it will not be our last time because I checked her out. Okay, when it comes to podcasts, you will see in a few. She is serious, but let me tell you, she also has a very powerful story that she is going to share, which led to her podcast. But I don't want to give too much away because I don't want to take away from her time. I also know when towards the end, she's also give us some words of encouragement as well. However, without further ado, I want to bring on, I'm going to call her Pastor too. I'm going to bring on Lianne. Lianne, please join us. Please join us. Everybody a pastor around here.
I am in church right now. Oh my God, that was powerful.
Yes. How are you, my dear? How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here.
Of
I'm loving the
course.
vibes and the energy.
I love it. And your background, I need to switch mine. I'm like, wait, what's going on? But like I said, you all, she is a professional. Okay. She's a
Thank you.
professional. And that's why I love individuals like her and LaRissa and some of the people that we already had on because just seeing people in their prime and when they're doing wonderful things, just to know that behind it, you don't know what they went through. And I feel like when we see people like Lianne and Pastor Rissa and my past guests, and we say, oh, they're doing all these wonderful things, you need to know a little bit because I think it helps encourage other people to know what they've gone through. And you, my dear, have gone through a lot. Okay.
Yes.
I said, man, I can't wait to get her on because I also think she's going to help a lot of women as well. Men too. So men don't leave, but I really think she's going to help a lot of women today as well. But first of all, how did your podcast get started? And let the viewers know exactly what it's called. I don't want to take that away from you because this
Yes.
is your baby. I know what it's
Thank
called,
you.
but I want you to share what
Yes,
the podcast is called
absolutely.
and
So,
how it got
hi,
started.
everyone. My name is Lianne. I'm the creator and host of the Watch Us Thrive podcast. And it got started from the most scariest moment of my life that I've ever experienced. I am a domestic violence survivor. And on the night of March 12th, 2021, my ex-boyfriend almost killed me. And going through such a traumatic relationship because it was very toxic. It was short. It was only 10 months, but it felt like 10 years. Going through something like that, really hitting my rock bottom moment, I decided to speak up and use my voice and ask for help. And in the process of my own healing journey of healing from that and other things that I've gone through, I started my podcast to talk about what I went through. And at first, it was just me really sharing my story of what I went through. And as it's grown, I bring on guests to also share their testimonies of being able to turn their pain into power. I know that I
Wow.
survived what I went through for a reason. And I'm a living testament to show that just because I went through some really difficult things, that doesn't need to be the end of my story. And I really want to be a voice for the voiceless, especially for other survivors of abuse, to know that you deserve so much more and you can take your power back just by speaking up and talking about what you went through.
Now, I just put something out there. Something as soon as you said it hit me. Turn pain into power. Exactly. How does that look? Really want you to dive a little bit more into that because I think a lot of people, when they experience pain, it's like, okay, I'm in this pain, but what are you talking? What power? What power am
Yes.
I turning it into? So if you
Yeah.
could just take a moment, just explain exactly how that looks like.
So what it looked like for me is to no longer sit in the shame and the
Woo!
embarrassment that I felt when I was in that relationship. Like I said, I was
Mhm.
with him for 10 months. The abuse didn't get physical until towards the end of the relationship, but no one knew what I was going through when I was in that relationship. I was very much hiding it from the world, but what I was putting out there on social media, especially, it was the perfect relationship. We were great,
Mhm.
but behind closed doors, I was suffering in silence. So for me to turn my pain into power, it's to get comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling of the shame that I felt, the sadness that I felt, the anger, the all of these emotions that we go through, especially being trauma survivors and, domestic violence survivors. I'm standing in that and I'm owning it and I'm no longer afraid to tell it to the world because once I
Wow.
started sharing my story, the amount of feedback that I got from people that I knew in my real life and also
Wow.
strangers on the internet were like, "Oh my god, me too?" That was
Mhm.
like, "Okay, there's something here." And again, I just want to stand on you can use your voice, you can speak up, you can own the things that you've gone through, and it's okay. It's okay to go through what you went through, but with you sharing what you went through, you're able to help other people just by sharing your story.
Love it. And I want to actually, what I know you said a lot as far as sharing your story, but what unction you to say, I'm gonna go ahead and share because I know you also mentioned about, me too, and we know it was a hashtag, because one of the things I do at my job for I'm a professional development trainer for the Department of Human Services, one of the sessions that I teach is sexual harassment. And we talk a lot about the hashtag Me Too and how popular it is. But you're not, quote unquote, just using it. So what unction you just to say, you know what, I'm going to take this moment. I'm going to produce this podcast and I am going to just stop being quiet, stop being
Yeah.
silent. What trigger? Was it a dream or, was it just, inspirational words you heard? What triggered you to go ahead and just get this started?
So I do work for my sister who has a very successful podcast, and I was learning a lot of things working behind the scenes for her and
Hmm.
doing my personal development, going to therapy, working with life coaches. As I've been able to heal and feel more comfortable in talking to them about it, I was like,
Wow.
I know I have a story. I know that I can probably help someone just by speaking my truth. And I kind of know what I'm doing behind the scenes, doing all these things for my sister. It was December
Mhm.
19th, 2021. And I decided I made the Instagram. I Googled to make sure no one had the name and they didn't. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And it's been so therapeutic for me to be able to share my truth and then to bring other people on to be able to share their truth too, just as
Mhm.
us coming together as a collective to not feel so alone in the pain that we've gone through and the way that we're able to talk about it and let other people know you're not alone in what you're going through. That's the whole point behind it. And I love it.
Love you're not alone because a lot of times when we go through things, especially things like as you went through, we feel like we're in it by ourselves. Even if we hear other people talk about, like, I hear them saying they dealt with domestic violence because domestic violence is not nothing new. However, sometimes we feel like but they haven't had it as bad as I had, or they don't really know exactly what it entailed, or I'm embarrassed because I shouldn't have stayed so long. And one thing I do want to applaud you that you're here, and then you got out because sometimes it don't end that way. So thankful that you're here so you can share. Um, but what I also want you to do is just to um I want to piggyback off of something you said in regards not just to the sharing part, but having this platform, how important it is to have your platform so others can speak.
Yeah.
Because I find myself even with this whole, my whole thing is resilience, and I want people to talk about the resilience, but how important it is for you to be able to let people just feel free and make them feel comfortable to say, "Hey, this platform is for you. Talk, tell us
Yes.
what's."
Yes. It's so important. And that's been the biggest part. One of the biggest parts for my own healing journey is just the community aspect and knowing that I didn't need to take on this healing journey by myself, especially going through something so traumatic like my life almost ending. I knew I
Right.
couldn't take that on by myself. So I leaned on the support. Thank God. I'm so grateful that I have a supportive family. I worked with life coaches. I went to group therapy, individual therapy. Like this was a beast that was bigger than me, and I was no longer going to take the burden on my own to try to heal
Mhm.
from it. So, speaking up, saying what you've gone through, crying, and being okay with those emotions that come up, it's so important for people to know that like you don't need to take this on alone. You shouldn't feel like you have to do this on your own. And for me, it's just been so therapeutic. And that's why I started my podcast and let other people know I've been through it. You're probably going through it, or someone who's going through it. You're not alone. So let's talk about
Mm.
it and let's heal together.
I love you said heal together. Oh my goodness. You and LaRissa are helping me today with, just making sure that you have the right people surrounding you and you don't have to
Yeah.
do this by yourself. Both of you are basically saying the same thing. So that must be
Yes.
the theme today. That's the
Yeah.
theme for tonight. Which I needed to hear because sometimes we try to do things on our own and be like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I keep failing. I keep failing, but you got to realize there's somebody out there that can go through the journey with you.
Yep.
So thank you for that for saying that again. I love it. Now I do want to ask you something, and it's because I actually myself I wrote a book, and it was a little revealing. How did you become so bold, knowing that you might have gotten some kickback? Because you're sharing something that's saying that somebody has done something.
Right.
And I'm sure that person is still around. And they know who you are. So how? What just being bold to say that and be like, you know what, I might get some kickback from this, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna still share it.
Yes.
How
Well,
did
I'm
how has that
grateful.
been?
Yes, I'm grateful that he is in prison for what he did to me. So, long story short, he is in prison for what happened. So, I'm definitely grateful for that. But I surround myself around like-minded people and people who are equally yoked as I am. So I'm grateful to God that I did not get any negative feedback, any like, oh my God, you're talking about this. I'm attracting the right people around me, and anyone who's outside of that circle, I mean, the block button works perfectly well.
Yeah.
I'm the queen of blocking people, right? Like, you're not going to mess up my energy. At the end of the day, going through what I went through and being in the really toxic relationships that I was in, being the woman that I am today, protecting my peace is like top tier for me. So
Mm.
if you're not gonna, understand my vibe or feel like I'm triggering you, that's something that you got to work on. That's not my responsibility to take on. And yeah, luckily I haven't had any negative feedback. Knock on
Okay.
wood, never say never, but yeah, I just keep the right people around me, and whoever
We
not,
pray
they
it will
can kick
continue
rocks.
that way.
Yes,
We pray it
exactly.
continue that way. It will continue. And
Yes.
that's that reason for everybody. Because like I said, sometimes when we share our story, we're sharing something that, the other party, might
Right.
still be around and things. So you don't know what may happen. Like again, it's the same thing. Even myself. But I do have something to ask you besides the podcast. Anything else brewing or that you're doing?
Yes. So you guys talked about books, and I'm actually working on writing a book myself. I don't have an
Good.
official date of when it's going to be done, but I just want to talk about my life. I want to talk about more than just that relationship and be able to help other people again, turn my pain into my power and let others know they can do the same. So, when that happens, I'll let you know.
Yes, because I need you back on. You just heard me say I love authors. I love
Yes.
authors. I love I want myself. So because yeah, putting a book out there, woo, all right, it's a
Yes.
lot.
And it's out there
And
forever.
yes, yes. So do let me know so I can help be another platform for you to promote that
Yes.
as well. Um, I do before we get you to a moment where I'm going to just give you the stage. I do want you to just talk about, and I'm bringing this up because I hear some other people who have gone through domestic violence. I have, and I will admit, I was I was on both ends. Okay, I'm not afraid to admit that. It's in my book. But And I want to ask you, do you feel like a lot of people don't understand the dynamics when it comes to just from maybe childhood trauma, or sometimes some people say, well, I'm dating somebody who is just a different person but the same spirit or the same type of person. Do you feel like sometimes in those moments, maybe you saw, I had one person one time say, I saw my mother get beat all the time, so I figured, hey, he hits me, it's okay, because she dealt with it, so I can deal with it too. Do you think that plays a huge role in maybe why people stay or they take on so much when it comes to domestic violence?
Yeah, it's really interesting that you say that, because when I think about my own dynamic growing up, my parents are high school sweethearts. They came from the island of Puerto Rico. They've been married for 40 something years. My dad never raised his hand to my mom. My mom never called my dad out of his name. Beautiful relationship. So I didn't grow up seeing that. Yet I found myself in those situations, and I've had other people come on who have similar upbringings like me, or the complete opposite, that they grew up in a chaotic, tumultuous home where they saw that all the time. But
Wow.
that's the interesting thing about domestic violence specifically, is that it can affect anyone. The numbers out there in the US are crazy. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men will be a victim of DV in their lifetime. So if you have not experienced it yourself, you know someone. And it can affect anyone, whether your race, your gender, what you got in your bank account, your religion, it doesn't matter. It can affect anyone. And there is such a stigma that, we're not going to talk about it. It's whatever happens at home stays at home. But so many people are suffering in silence. And that's why I just stand on being the survivor and being able to talk about my experience to, again, let people know you're not alone and you can take your power back.
Now, just not, I know you have the podcast, but having the podcast and speaking up, has it opened doors for you to do other things like speaking engagements,
Ye-
workshops, etc.?
Yes. Yes, I actually did a couple in-person speaking gigs earlier this year. My first one was in New York. I was a nervous wreck. This right here, like speaking live, I'm comfortable behind the mic, when I'm recording because I'm in control, but doing it live is another beast. But, at the end of the day, I just remember my why, and I survived what I went through for a reason. And I just want to continue spreading my message to let other people know that they can do the same. And I'm looking to do more of that in 2024. I do want to put my own event together, to raise awareness for domestic violence. So, we'll see whatever God got in store for me.
I love it. And we have somebody says, thank you for sharing your story. It's true. Yeah, it's truly inspiring. Definitely
Thank you.
inspiring.
Thank you.
Because you hear this a lot. However, when somebody takes their story and, like you said, turn that pain into, power, and we're seeing right in front of us, you actually utilizing, that pain and saying, hey, I'm gonna open a door, I'm gonna start a podcast, I'm writing a book, and like you just said, speaking engagements, those things, and I'm turning it around. And I actually put
Yes.
my newsletter out there, and I was talking about, everything that we go through is necessary. It is
Yes.
so
Ooh.
necessary. And we think that, oh, my mistakes and all the things that I've done or the bad that I've been through, it doesn't make, I'm not worthy to speak on this, or, I shouldn't speak on this. But no, it's necessary. It is so
Yes.
necessary. So thank you for answering the call to
Yes.
help others. And I'm not even going to just say women, men too. Like I said, I've been on
Mhm.
both ends. So I know men experience it as well. But I do want you to, I because I hear little numbers in there, so I got a feeling you got a little statistics in there. But I do want you to just help us see, are there triggers or things that, you say, hey, I'm seeing signs. Well, I'm sure you saw signs that led up to the physical
Mhm.
abuse. So what are things that people should look for when it comes to, and there's all different types of abuse. Okay.
Yes.
However, what are things that people should look for when they say,
Absolutely.
okay, I'm experiencing some domestic violence here?
Yeah. So being on the other side now, one of the signs that I ignored was his anger, how he
Mhm.
had no control over it. And there's this very trendy word nowadays that people are talking about called love bombing, which is something that I definitely experience, which is he pretended to be the Prince Charming. It was great in the beginning. Of course, everything is rainbows and butterflies in the beginning, but that was just a facade for him to really gain that power and control over me. And when things didn't go his way, he snapped. And it started off with verbal. It started off with him calling me out my name. It started with him raising his voice a little bit louder. It started with him throwing something in my direction, not trying to hit me. It started with, punching something next to me. And progressively, the abuse got worse until the point that he physically put his hands on me. And that's something that I've realized, even interviewing other survivors, is that the abuse is going to continue to happen and it's going to get worse every single time. So the first time, God forbid that
Mm.
you go through it, that should be the last time. And that's something that I've learned. I will never allow someone, whether it's a man or woman, whoever, to ever disrespect me in a way that makes me feel unsafe. My safety is top priority.
Yeah, because we need you here. We need everyone here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Definitely need you here. But thank you for that because again, sometimes we like, well, I didn't see the signs, or they might have
Yeah.
seen them and or ignored it. And I like how you because we do. You're right. We hear the word love bombing a whole lot, and I still don't think people understand how that
Yeah.
looks. When somebody you're like, oh my gosh, this is like one. I'm in a dream world right now. Like this person's doing everything, and then they get that trust from you, and then it's like, wait a minute, time out. What
Yep.
happened to all the roses and the sweet nothings in my ear? That's gone now. So thank
Exactly.
you for bringing that word up. Please, everyone, please look that up. Love bombing is real. It is very so much real. Um, However, I do because I remember I just said something in regards to when it comes to domestic violence. What are some other things people should also look for? Because it's not just the physical. We had, and I heard you say the verbal abuse started. How and I want to say one is more worse than the other. But even when it comes down to verbal abuse, where do we draw the line at? Because sometimes you're like, oh, I messed up. I said that I didn't mean it. Because I know we get upset. I get upset myself. May say things that you're like, I didn't mean to say that. I'm so sorry. But where do we draw the line, even when it comes to the verbal side or even emotional
Yes.
abuse as well?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, the first time that he called me a B, that should have been it, but
Mm,
that was something that I was used to in other relationships. I was just like, "Oh, I've heard this before. It's no big deal." But if someone makes you feel unsafe in your own home, if they're threatening you, if they're threatening to end their life or yours, saying all these things, I know people say like words really don't matter, but they do. And those wounds for me, the physical wounds eventually faded, but the emotional toll that it took on me, that's a wound that I'm gonna have to work on for the rest of my life, work on healing, and I just feel like, especially us as women, we have this intuition, we have this gut feeling of when
mm,
something is off, and that is something that I ignored while I was in that relationship, and it wasn't until, again, he almost killed me that I finally realized, "Oh my god, this is really serious." So I really think,
mm.
especially for women, listen to that gut feeling, listen to that intuition, that little voice in the back of your head that's telling you, sis, this ain't right, bro, this ain't right, and it's really there to protect you at the end of the day. So that's a big, big lesson that I learned as well.
Love it. And Sherry said, thank you for sharing. If you can do me a favor and put that question up from Miss Vivian. She put, did your family and or friends see any signs and shared them with you? Did they see
No,
anything?
they did not. No, they did not.
Mm,
The first time someone knew what was happening was the night of March 12th, 2021, when I escaped my apartment after this man tried to strangle me to death. And I went to my best friend's apartment. I'm knocking at her door at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. She sees me. I look insane. And it was
mm,
because of her that I called 911. And that's the first time that I told someone what was going on. So behind closed doors, no one knew what was happening. Not at all. And that's something that a lot of people in these relationships experience. There's a lot of isolation, which is another red flag that you should look out for too. The
mhm.
perpetrator of abuse is trying to keep you all to themselves so they can fully control and have the power all over you. And slowly that was happening in my life. And, it took for me to almost lose it for me to wake up and realize something's got to
Wow.
change. Yeah.
Wow. And we have some other testimonies coming up. My sister's Les in Atlanta. She left Baltimore and went to Atlanta, left me all by myself. And I'm joking. I'm not even in Baltimore no more. But Celeste said, in my early 20s, I was in an abusive relationship for 5 years. My self-esteem was okay with bad love versus no love. Once I
Mhm.
learned to love me, I bounced and never looked back again. She also
Amen.
said, if you put the next one, she also said, the scar left on my arm 30 years later reminds me to never deal with that again.
Yeah.
Leanne, you may need to talk to Celeste too.
Yes.
But
Yeah, I might
thank you
need her
for
to come on
sharing.
my podcast.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing it again.
Yeah.
Just having people, it's like, they're encouraging when you see somebody else, they be like, man, I can share too. It's
Yes.
okay. But
Yes.
I am going to exit the virtual stage, and I'm going to give you just a few minutes and just share what's on your heart. Encourage, enlightening, whatever is on your heart. And then we're going to come back on, and you can tell people how to get in touch with you and go from there. I am
Yes.
exiting,
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, it's so beautiful anytime I'm able to share just a little bit of my story. And I actually was sent a quote today by someone, and I had not prepared for this at all, but I know God really sent this to me to share with y'all. So it's a quote from Brene Brown. Shout out to her. And it is, one day you will tell your story of how you overcame what you went through, and it will be someone else's survival guide. And I really, really stand on that because in me sharing my story is how I've been able to grow my platform, how I've been able to come here and talk to you guys today and just let y'all know that you can do the same. Now, you don't need to start a podcast like me because it's a lot of work. I'm not going to lie, but there is such power in your testimony. And one of my life coaches that I worked with, shout out to Erica Kramer, she's the queen of confidence based in Australia. She said a quote to me that has stuck with me since I heard it. And it was, there's a message in the mess. There is a message in whatever your mess looks like, and it's okay to share it with the world because you are not alone in that season that you're in. And I really just hope that just by hearing a little bit of my truth and my story, that it gives you or someone that you know the power within them to know that you can take your power back. You can turn your pain into power, your trauma into triumph. And it's okay. You're not alone. And again, for my DV survivors, please, y'all, one thing I want to leave you guys with is abuse does not hurt. Abuse is not, I mean, love does not hurt. It's it's something that you really have to love yourself. And that's something that I wish I would be able to tell Leanne from 2020. Love yourself enough to walk away from this person because this is not what love is. And you need to love yourself more. And it's okay to put yourself first. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Powerful, powerful, short, sweet, but powerful. I love it. I love stuff
Yes.
like that. As long as it's piercing the soul, as long as it's allowing people to think too. Like, am I going through this? Should I say something? Should I tell someone? I'm seeing all the comments coming up.
Yes.
Wonderful. I do not want to end this broad, if I say session, I think I'm at work. But this is work. I do not want to end this broadcast without you giving the opportunity for people to follow, maybe even book you. Just
Yes.
where can they locate you?
Yes, thank you so much again. This is a beautiful conversation. So I'm primarily on Instagram. You can follow me at Watch Us Thrive Podcast. I'm also on YouTube. All of my season 2 video episodes are there under the same handle, Watch Us Thrive Podcast. I am a personal development coach, and I specifically work with women who have been the old Leanne, who have been in toxic and abusive relationships and really want to find the relationship that you have with yourself. When we're in those abusive relationships, we do lose ourselves. I lost myself. And the way I was able and still working on building myself back up is working with someone for support. So hit me up on my website. I have a blog there. My podcast is there. wutpodcast.com, and new episodes drop every Tuesday, so you guys can check it out. I'm also looking for guests, so if you feel motivated and moved to share your story of turning your pain into power, visit my website, hit me up, send me an email, DM me. I'm always open, and I'm just here to continue sharing and spreading the message one conversation at a time.
Love it, love it. I am so excited to meet you. I know it's gonna be some more conversations between us. I am just connection. I already feel it. I love it.
Yes.
And you are inspiring me, like the background and everything. I'm like, Sheneè, get it together. You ready to go to the next level? What she doing? I'm not copying, but I'm just saying. But thank you again for joining us. Please, I will be putting her in our newsletter soon, because I'm gonna start putting the guests in our new newsletter. Let's try to say that 15 times. Our new newsletter that's coming out, so you will get even more of her information, because I have her full bio, so I'm gonna put that in the newsletter as well. But thank you again, my lady.
Thank
I'm gonna call you
you.
Pastor again. All right, everybody passes a day. But thank you for joining us, and I hope you have an awesome night.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, everyone, as we bid adieu, pay attention to these a few promos, okay? We will have a special broadcast this Wednesday, 2 days from now at 8 p.m. I am talking to some powerhouse individuals who have been incarcerated. Okay, I'm not talking about overnight or the weekend. I'm talking about years, okay, in prison, and they are now millionaires. They're pastors, they're community activists, doing so many things. So tune in also for this special broadcast on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, as I say goodbye, I want you to remember, as always, resiliency is key. Have an awesome night, everyone. Wow.